Here's Dan Shapiro to help you find your edge, master your process, and own your future.
Hey guys, good evening everybody. Welcome to another edition of the AccessToTrade.com nightly wrap-up show. If everybody's doing well, guys, take a moment out, support the channel, guys. Takes literally a second out of your life. It'll be really something that will help the channel grow. Click a like, share, subscribe if you haven't done so already. So thank you very much for spending a few minutes with me. So, the old adage, right? If a tree falls in the forest and no one is around to hear it fall, does it make a sound? And yeah, I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard that old saying before. And the reason why I bring that up today was, last night started Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year. So a lot of the people who swing a big line in this business were off. The Dan Loebs of the world, the Ackman, the Pershing Squares, Steven Schwartzman, BlackRock, a lot, Steve Cohen, a lot of big Jewish people were off. And if you notice, the market did absolutely nothing for 3/4 of the day. You could see there was no volatility. There was no option flow. It was just a holiday day that a lot of people took off. Tomorrow, everybody will be back in business. And what we saw today was a flatlining session to a pretty aggressive sell-off into the close, and NASDAQ was down a tad under 1%. So the question is, does it count? Right? The scoreboard says it count. I'm sure if you're long stocks at the top of the range, I'm sure it counts. But the question is, if nobody's around to defend prices, nobody's there to buy prices, nobody's there to chase prices, does this day count? Well, kind of, sort of. And that's kind of where we kind of start our discussion based on the close. This market has been a linear, pretty much grind up since April, right? The April lows. We've been talking about nauseum. And every single time it's hit more or less the 5-day moving average. You can see it for that one time that we gap down and we reclaimed it. You can see it hits the orange line bounce, orange line bounce, orange line bounce, orange line bounce. Even here, we got gap below the orange line, reclaimed it, bounce, bounce, bounce. And here we are once again. Right here we are once again right to the 5-day moving average. Again, if you are brand new to trading and you are saying, what's this orange line this guy's talking about? What is this nonsense he's spewing? Well, there's a method to this madness. The 5-day moving average for me, and I've been doing this since the end of 1998, is the shortest term sentiment. Whoever has control of the 5-day moving average has control of short-term sentiment. Does it mean this is the top of the market? Does it mean anything? It doesn't mean anything. That's the whole point. Nobody was around, but now we are set up for at least to have a discussion. And if you can't be open-minded and you can't see the market trade both sides, both long and short, then you are really cheating your development as a trader. But again, that's another conversation for another time. So we are back to the 5-day moving average, okay? After the close, you had Micron come out with earnings, had a big run. It's kind of going sideways here, had an initial spike, then came down. Now it's kind of going sideways. Semiconductors are obviously all going to be at least to some degree, will be affected tomorrow. We'll see after the conference call which way the stock breaks. But the point is now we have a definitive short-term sentiment, a little bit of a line in the sand. So let's talk about the line in the sand. Again, I don't want to keep this long and drawn out. I just want to kind of give you guys my thoughts. So the 5-day support is 597. And what today's low is? Right? 597. So here's what has to happen. If today was an outlier event and all we did was come back to the 5-day and we bounce tomorrow, everything is back to normal. Everything is good. Feel free to, look at as many long setups as you want. But the problem is the market doesn't do sometimes what you want or need it to do. And now we have a definitive line in the sand, and it's 597. If the Qs start losing the 5-day moving average, which is today's 5-day support, we will go all the way down to 591. Again, it's not a big deal, right? It's not a big deal. It's not the end of the world, but that's what we talk about. That's the whole premise of the PS60 theory. Stocks trade from supply to supply and demand to demand. So the demand is the 5-day and the next demand is the 10-day. Again, not the end of the world, but if you are long stocks at ridiculous levels like we talked about a couple of days ago, literally 2 videos ago, stop buying stocks that already went up 2, 3, 4 week runs and stick to the ones that are coming out of the tight channels. Then if you're long a stock, for example, like an OKLO at say 130, right? At 130, okay, and you're sitting around here and there's a potential pull in the stock, well, maybe it's good, maybe it's fine, or maybe 140 is a better example. If you're along the stock right here and the market starts coming in, yeah, you might run into trouble, okay? You might not think it at that time, but when everything pulls. It doesn't make a difference what it is. And for example, Tesla, right? You love it. I love it. We all love it, right? We all love it. We discussed it in last night's video. If you didn't watch last night's video, it put it in an inverted hammer. Inverted hammer, again, technically is a pause. Again, we don't use the word top. It's a pregnant pause, and Tesla was already weak before the market got pulled. It was, down like $1.50 before the market got pulled. And Tesla, just like mirroring the cues, it stopped right on the 5-day moving average. Maybe it's something, maybe it's nothing. But now, again, at least we are putting ourselves in a position to have the conversation. And now, if you trade both sides of the market, you say to yourself, well, wait a minute. Didn't you just say if it loses the 5-day moving average, it could potentially backtest small? Yeah, that's the whole point, folks. Again, you could bet 500 calls, 900 calls, $2,000 calls, but support is support, demand is demand, and stocks breach one, they will fall to the other. So again, it's just a conversation that we are having today. As of right now, it held the 5-day moving average. If everybody comes back tomorrow, we start going back up, everything's all fine. The key is if Tesla, though, loses the 5-day moving average, you could have room all the way down to 407. Amazon. We spoke about Amazon last night, right? Amazon, we talked about, watched last week's lows. Amazon got absolutely shelled, okay? Absolutely shelled, and it lost its 50-day moving average. If you are brand new to trading, below the 50-day is not good. And you can see how many times since August it held the 50. It held it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times. We lost it today. I'm definitely watching Amazon if there is continuation of weakness tomorrow. Nvidia really dropped the ball, in my opinion, right? Really, really dropped the ball. We talked about it last night. You had the whole $100 billion investment into OpenAI. You have a major catalyst. I think somebody came out, spoke positively about NVIDIA today. It basically gave back yesterday's move, man. It really had a chance. It didn't even remotely put up a fight. Again, I am personally not interested in NVIDIA on the long side until it starts getting above the July and August highs. If it gets above July and August highs, I will click the mouse with extreme prejudice. Other than that, if it starts showing me weakness and starts losing the 50-day moving average or the September lows, again, there's a downside move. So you can't just be arrogant enough and egotistical enough to think that market's going to go straight up. Levels are there to save you. They're not there to trick you. They're not there to confuse you. Levels are there to trick you. Levels there are not tricky. So if a stock is telling you we lost this level, there's a good chance it's going to go in the next demand zone and vice versa. So be open-minded, folks. I understand majority of market participants are buy and hold. I don't know what the percentage is of traders who trade both sides of the market, but I'm assuming it's very small. If I had to guess, it's probably less than 5-10%. If I had to guess, again, there's no way of knowing. So, we've been on this magical carpet ride for a very long time, at least since April, or you can make a case since the 2009 generational bottom. So many traders, for the exception of maybe 2022 or a few months going into 2023, didn't really have a lot of rough patches, but gravity is real. Okay, the market doesn't need any reason, to go lower. Especially if it had a massive run. Like I said, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, right? I could only be prepared. I know what our bottom line in the sand is for today. So if we start violating the bottom of the sand, then yeah, I'm going to start looking some, Tesla, NVIDIA, Amazon. They're setting up pretty well. When you look at the Coinbase stocks, for example, right? Bitcoin is getting a little bit of softness. Coinbase gave back to 50. Remember a couple of days ago, we said, don't give back to 50. Don't give back to 50. It gave back to 50. Look at MSTR, right? MSTR has never even came close to the 50-day moving average. And now it's like 2-3 days away, potentially testing September lows. There is one name that actually looks pretty good. Look at NNE. NNE has been kind of flagging here for the last 3 days. You can see here, it's just sitting here below the linear regression line. If it could just get back above, especially if the market acts really well tomorrow and just kind of negates today's outlier event, maybe this thing really, really wakes up. So keep an eye on that. Again, if you're interested in pivots, folks, all it takes is 30 days coming to the live webinar. There's a lot of bells and whistles that I just don't feel like talking about on the nightly video. But there's some pretty neat stuff. And if you are interested, again, all it takes is 30 days to figure out if it's a right fit for you. Guys, God bless everybody. Stay safe and God's help. I'll see you tomorrow night on the video. Take care.